This is going to be a short comparison on structural perspectives views of the family, looking at the key theories of functionalism, Marxism and feminism. Now, within the exam, one of the key things that you need to be able to do is not just know the theories and their roles, perspectives and the general ideas about society, but you need to also be able to compare and contrast theories to one another. So what I'm going to do is go through the three main theories here and highlight how they are similar and share ideas, but also highlight some of the differences between them. So as you can see, we've got three columns on the screen. We've got functionalism just on the left, we've got Marxism in the centre, and feminism on the right. Now, the first thing about all these theories are they are modern approaches to sociology. So they all exist within the 1750s to 1980s window. So they are modern perspectives. So functionalism and Marxism probably at the earlier end of this timescale, feminism sort of towards sort of the 60s and 70s, but all essentially modern perspectives. They're all structural approaches to the family. So again, they all take a top-down approach, looking at how society influences us, and they are also all macro approaches. So again, looking at the whole of society from this perspective. Now we see our first difference here. Functionalism comes under the category of a consensus theory. It's based on shared agreements, shared norms and shared values, while Marxism and feminism are conflict theories. Now, that's not to say that within these theories there are no shared norms and values. There is this general dominant ideology which most people are following, but ultimately the idea of conflict is that there is a disagreement between two groups in society. So for Marxism, it's the working class and the middle class. For feminism, it's men and women. So this is our first key difference. Now, when looking at all three of these theories, one thing to keep in mind is that all of them look at the traditional nuclear family, or TNF. So all of these theories, as I say, they are all modern, they're all structural, they're all macro, they're all taking place in a similar period of time. They are all looking at the same family structure. So let's remove that there. Now, when this kind of similarity differs though, so although they're all looking at traditional nuclear families, they all have different views on how the family works and who the family benefits. So within functionalism, our first theory, the family benefits society. So society as a whole benefits from the role of the nuclear family or traditional nuclear families. Within Marxism, it's capitalism that is the main beneficiary of the nuclear family, and as you would have guessed, within feminism, patriarchy is the main beneficiary. So although these theories have some common grounds and some common ideas, there are some key differences between them. That's what we're going to explore in this short session. Now, the next to look at and consider is the role of the family. So what is the role of the family? Why does it do this? What is its purpose? And how, coming back to that previous point, how do these different roles benefit society in different ways? So we'll start with functionalism as we did before. So we have the traditional nuclear family from a functionalist perspective. Now, if we imagine the male lead in that family is tired, is stressed, and comes home to his family. He's been performing his instrumental role, his breadwinner role, and is quite tired and stressed. Now, the role of the family is to act as a warm bath. Predominantly women's role is to act as a warm bath, and that's to the purpose is to calm him down, to de-stress him, and to stabilize his adult personality. Or remember, we used this concept of SOAP, so stabilization of adult personalities. So that's this process. So again, remember, warm bath, soap goes in the warm bath. So this is functionalists' view of the family. The role of the family is to, and predominantly role of women, is to de-stress men, calm men down, and to stabilize the adult personality. Now, this is, as the arrow indicates, a one-way process. Women stabilize men's adult personalities. One big criticism of some of these theories is they don't recognize who stabilizes the women. But this process takes place, and this is for the good of society as a whole. So society benefits from men and adults being stabilized, and this is part of the two functions of the family that Parsons introduced. So ultimately, the key role of the family is to act as a warm bath, and that's from Parsons' one-bar theory, this benefits society as a whole. Now, the second theory we have is Marxism. Now, again, Marxism is starting with a traditional nuclear family, as we've already kind of established. Now, as in with functionalism, men are performing the instrumental role, the breadwinner role, the key worker. They are going off into society. They're working in factories. They are working for the capitalists, and they are earning an income. So we're predominantly looking at proletariat families. Now, the role of the family is very similar to functionalism, that these men are coming home stressed and tired, and the role of women and the family is to vent that stress. So it's to act as a buffer zone or a safe haven. It's a place where men can come home, they can be angry, frustrated, and it relaxes them and calms down, often through venting their frustrations. It's also important because the family is a place where men have power, men have control. So coming from a work environment where they have very little power, very little control, they are doing what they're told, to come home to a family where they have the power. So therefore, this again improves the position of men. Now, the purpose of this isn't the same as the functionalist view. Although it's a very similar process, it's not the same purpose. So within Marxism, the purpose of this happening, the family acts as a buffer zone and a safe haven, isn't to benefit society, as we've established, is to benefit capitalism. The reason for this being is that men come home, they de-stress, they return to work the next day happy, calm, that stress builds up, they go home, de-stress. And essentially the role of the family is to prevent angers and frustrations boiling over to the point where men might engage in strikes, or they might organise and revolt against the bourgeoisie and the factory owners. So again, the concept we have is safe haven and buffer zone, and the purpose of the family is to benefit capitalism and capitalist societies. And then last but not least, we have feminism. Now again, feminism is talking about a traditional nuclear family. Men, as the patriarch in this family, come home from work angry, frustrated, and the role of women is to absorb that frustration. And as men release that frustration, that calms them down. Now, what is different about feminism is that unlike Marxism and functionalism, feminists consider the role of women, the position of women, how this makes the women feel. And ultimately, absorbing this anger and frustration is going to have a negative impact on the women. And this is what Annesley referred to when she talked about how women were the takers of shit. So, in her full quote is, when women perform their role as housewives and mothers, and they absorb men's anger and frustrations, they become the takers of shit. So ultimately, I'm paraphrasing it, but essentially, women absorb men's frustrations, keep the men happy, but who's going to look after the women? So this is the generally argument of the feminists, and ultimately this whole process comes back to women being the takers of shit and patriarchy benefiting from that, and as a result, patriarchal society benefits from this process. So as we can see, the similarities and differences are there. So they're all macro structural theories. They look at the whole of society. They all talk about traditional nuclear families, as they're all modern perspectives. And actually, in most cases, the roles are similar. In most cases, men's anger and frustration being released and alleviated by the women performing their role in the family. The only thing that differs is the name of it. So Parsons calling it the warm bath, Zaretsky calling it safe haven buffer zones, Annesley referring to it as takers of shit. And the other key difference is who benefits from this in the long run. So for functionalism, this is good. Society is what benefits. For Marxism, it's capitalists who benefit. And for feminists, patriarchal values benefit. Okay. So I hope this helps to give you some indication of similarities and differences between the structural theories. As I mentioned at the very beginning, this is a really key skill for exams. So not just knowing what these theories say, but also being able to identify how they are similar or different from other perspectives. And this is a good way of evaluating and challenging ideas. Again, evaluations don't have to always be a criticism. You can highlight similarities as a positive form of evaluation, that Marxists and functionalists and feminists share similar views on the role of the family. So, as I say, hopefully this helps. If there are any questions, anything you're uncertain about, just get in touch with your teachers, and hopefully they'll be able to explain it in a bit more detail than I have today. Anyway, thank you for watching. and bye.